During this segment, we asked some of our fellow attendees of Compass some loaded questions. And tonight, the Sierras are joining us. You'll notice there's not one, but two of them. And you'll also notice that they each wear a ring on the left-hand side, which you were panicked around finding before you came. The Sierras, you've probably seen them around quite a bit the last couple of months. They are, in the same fashion the Georges are assisting us, they are helping with premarital counseling, one-on-one counseling and mentorship, just in spiritual growth and relational growth. And so I wanted to have an opportunity just to hear a little bit about their story, let you know who you guys are mingling with. We've got some pretty amazing people who are giving of their time every week just to build and sow into our lives. And so we're so glad to have you guys here.
Thank you.
The first question I have for you is that how long have you guys been married?
39 years.
And
actually, February 17.
So just at 39.
Just got 39 years.
Would it embarrass you for me to say that that's longer than I've been live?
Yeah, that's what
I am really glad to say that, yes.
Damon Krim, he celebrated, I think it was his 38th birthday last year. And I said, Damon, we've been married for 38 years last year. I go, you could be our kid, you know?
Well, how is it that you guys met?
Well, we went to the same church, and I noticed him. Eventually, I got him to notice me, and that's where it started. We're having in the church together and kind of seeing each other across the auditorium.
Yeah, we're young kids. I remember meeting her at the water fountain. I had a little brother, and I used to take him back to get him some water, and so I had to lift him up, and that's when she was standing there, you know, waiting to meet me, and that's what I found out later. And I should go buy that water fountain, but I remember what it looked like. I remember the time. I remember looking at her and her smile and the big blue eyes, and I was going, oh man, my heart went like this. So I said, okay, this is going to be good, you know. So that's when we met.
So Sandy, since you're the instigator.
Aren't all girls?
Yeah. What would you say was the attraction, or what drew you to John?
Well, obviously I thought he was really nice looking. And then the more I watched him, the more I started seeing his character come out. I liked that he was quiet. He was a very, a very modest person. And watching him with his younger siblings, I thought, that's a good sign.
And then obviously it was the smile and the blue eyes that attracted you, huh, John? What was the moment, or how long did it take before you guys each realized that you were for each other for life?
You can go ahead. I'll let you have that one.
You know, we went together after I initiated the first date and invited him along on something. Then we started kind of going around and stuff. And it was a couple of years. It were a couple of years, and then one day I just realized, I go, you know, this is the guy I think I want to spend my life with. And just, you know, we had grown together. I'd gotten to know him really well. I knew his character. I knew his family. And you do marry the family, so you don't get out of that. So it's good to know who or what you're marrying into, too.
Yeah, and when Sandy and I, we had one of the dating, we were so young, and when we say dating, it was really courting. We actually had to sit in a parlor. She was adopted, her parents were from Oklahoma, very old-fashioned. And to see her at that time, actually it was during the hippie time, and you know, my background was surfing, and all the kids did everything different, you know. But when I would come to see her, it was a whole, you know, the rules were a lot different, you know. In other words, she couldn't go out and party, she couldn't do this or that. But basically, if I'm going to see her, I had to go talk to her father, I had to sit in the parlor, and then we just talked all day, you know. And then there was, okay, you have to leave now, you know. That type of thing. So that's what it was like, you know. And there were just qualities about her. She was very God-fearing. You know, I always saw her in church. You know, I've seen her worship in church. Then when I go to school, we went to different schools. You know, the girls were a lot different. It was a lot worldly. And the way I was brought up, I was going, you know, this is different. This is good. And that's how we connected there first.
So what advice would you give to any couple about what really makes a successful marriage?
Well, you know, I have to say, I have to share with this because it sounds like a fairy tale, you know, wedding marriage. But there was a time in my life when I did I would say backslid. But basically, what I would share is I grew up in the old Pentecost, and everything that I learned and the way I grew up was kind of like law. It was the law. It lived by the law. In other words, be the good boy. You know, you part your hair a certain way, talk a certain way. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Open the door. Yes, sir. And after we got married, I didn't know what it was to have a relationship. I didn't know. I used to hear relationship with Jesus Christ, but I didn't know what that meant. And if I couldn't have a relationship and didn't know how to have a relationship with Jesus Christ, I didn't know how to have a relationship with anybody, not even myself. So in that time, okay, when we got married, I looked at things a lot different. And Sandy, I have to share that she's a God-fearing lady, and she prayed a lot. And she prayed a lot for me. And so there was a time when I turned my back on everything. And so during that time, I didn't have an understanding of, again, what a relationship was. I didn't know how to treat her. And I will share what happened later after many years. And I took the family through a lot of turmoil. When I had an actual personal relationship with Jesus Christ, everything turned. And that would be the success of the marriage. That's when it all started. That's when everything came into perspective. And the way I seen my wife, because in the time I grew up too, was like the programs we used to watch was like Father's Knows Best and Leave It to Beaver and, you know, the Ozzies, the Nelsons and all that. But everything was the wife would be home cooking, you know, the husband would be working, and you just, there was never showed a real relationship. Later on, as when I learned to have a relationship with Jesus Christ and what that was, I saw my wife and I fell in love again. And it was in a whole different way where when I looked at her, I have a respect for her. I have kindness came out. The salvation, how to pray, everything that my position as the priest of the home, you know, became a reality. And so what I say is when I got God's perspective on how to be as a man in my home, that's when I think things turned around. And then she shared with me that's what she was always praying for. So
Sandy, how long was that season?
15 years.
So almost half of your
3
marriage.
months, 8 days.
Yeah. You know, I have to share something. Just to give you a little snippet, and this is just some of the ladies are going to go, oh my God. What happened is, like there was a hot summer day. It was in the summer. I remember she went to her parents with the kids, and we had little kids. And my background was surfing, and a friend of mine came over and he goes, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And I go, "I don't know. What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, let's go surfing." So I wrote a note said, "I'm gone surfing. I'll see you." And I was gone for a week. You know.
You went to Hawaii.
But that was my mentality. That's the way I was very selfish. Okay, that's the way I looked at things. Is hey, you know, she knows I love her. You know, and I was very selfish. Yeah, the kids will understand. You know, that type of thing. But what happened though is when I turned my heart over and God came, I accepted Jesus as my personal Savior, and that again back to the personal relationship. I was like, what were you doing? Now we've always been best friends, but I would say that with Christ in my heart, again, that's where I started really how to even have relationships with people. One of her comments always was like, "Man, it must really be tough being you," because I was always restless with myself. I could never be, you know, nothing could please me. I could never happy with myself. So things turned around there. So yeah, it was a long 15 years, and I have a a praying wife. She has quite a testimony to share on that one, but she was always praying for me.
So he took his friend to Hawaii for a surfing trip. Where did he take you for your honeymoon?
He told me if I would marry him, he'd show me the world. So on our honeymoon, he took me to a ride called It's a Small World. We went around about 4 times. He goes, have you seen enough? Went to Disneyland.
Frontierland.
Okay, Future World or whatever it was back then.
Sandy's never been anywhere really, huh?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, okay. But when I took her to Disney, I was so excited because I said, "Where would you like to go?" You know, and she goes, "I've never been to Disneyland."
For me, it was exciting.
And we were so innocent. I remember I had a van, and even when we were seeing each other,
my dad liked that.
Her dad would not. You know, you're not taking my daughter anywhere in that. You know. And so when we got married, you know, it was so funny. I'll share with you the innocence behind it. When we went on our honeymoon, I remember we went to get, the first night we were going to get a motel. And I said, hon, find our marriage certificate. You know, you got, and I was like, I have to convince them that we're married. So, I mean, that's how innocent we were. So I went up there and I said, we're married. That's my wife in there, and you know, here's our marriage certificate. He goes, I don't care.
Well, I'll close with this question. What's one thing that you think has really surprised you, pleasantly surprised you about marriage?
Oh, I thought it was the other question. I was prepared for that one.
Sorry, they'll switch it on you.
What has pleasantly surprised us? Yeah. I think, you know, one is it's not my parents' marriage. I went into it expecting it to be the mother stays home and, you know, all that. And every single marriage is different because you've got 2 totally different people from totally different backgrounds coming together and creating something brand new out of it. And so for me, it was exciting, you know, once I figured out, okay, it's not going to be like it was growing up. You know, it was, what can we make of this? And just the excitement of trying to figure out how yours was going to be.
Yeah. You know, I shouldn't say surprised, but I've seen how God has used our marriage. The responsibility in the marriage, and when I look at our children, our grandchildren, our friends, and even doing the premarital, it's just so wonderful now to know that we have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide, and we're still best of friends. And it's so amazing that we never get tired of each other. I can honestly say that we laugh a lot together. We always have wonderful conversations. When we even tonight or when we hear the word, we discuss it when we drive home, but never trying to make a discussion. And here's one surprising thing that a lot of people don't know is we work together. We've been working together. We have our business. We've been working together for 14 years. And it's amazing because in that, what we love is we pray together. We join hands in our business. And how God has used us in that business, and how He's used us in our marriage. When we first opened our business, and she wanted to work with me, I said, sure. I go, honey, you know, this is really wonderful because I've been able to witness in our business. And I go, you're gonna see how you could do this. It's gonna be great. And there was one day, and she was all excited about it. I was in the back in the shop, and she was at the front counter, and this lady came in, and the next thing you know, she's gone. And I went out to the front counter, and I go, where's she at? And then we had a little office in the lobby, and she was in the room praying with this lady, and they were joining hands, and I mean, the tears were coming down, and I was going, there you go. You know, it's just wonderful to be, I think I would say surprising is how God has been using us in our marriage, and how we could use it as a witness.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, and feel free to introduce yourselves to Sierra as they're here as a resource for us and just to glean wisdom from them. I'm so excited that you are partnering with us at Compass, and I just appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for letting us.